1983, a year that the world of wrestling will never forget. The legendary Paul Orndorff began his incredible WWE career and took the world by storm. With his superhuman strength and physique and larger-than-life attitude, he stood as a force to be reckoned with.
Well, I'm the magnificent one. I'm the wonderful one right here.
Unfortunately, tragedy strikes even the greatest people, as we'll be talking about just how Orndorff's life hit a downward spiral because of his dreams and ambitions. Now let's get into it. The downfall of Orndorff. Paul "Mr. Wonderful" Orndorff was one of the top superstars the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, which changed to WWE. He was among the few wrestlers who could stand against beasts like Hulk Hogan. Because of this, he always went above and beyond to be the best at what he did, both in and outside the ring. However, the pursuit of being the best had its consequences, as he would face a catastrophic injury while attempting to further improve his already godlike physique and in-ring performance. Orndorff suffered a neck and spinal injury, and although some accounts of how it came about differ, its outcome remains the same. The main issue came from him pinching a nerve in his neck. This led to severe muscle atrophy in his right arm. Most people noticed the visible difference, especially given how impressive his physique had once been. With wrestlers often appearing in minimal attire, concealing the atrophy was nearly impossible. To make matters worse, Orndorff prioritized maintaining his momentum in the WWE over seeking proper treatment. He refused to take time off, believing that capitalizing on his hot streak was more important. This decision only worsened his condition. His right hand shrank further, making the disparity between his arms even more pronounced. Not only was his right arm visibly smaller, but it was significantly weaker, which made performing in the ring increasingly challenging. Though he eventually sought treatment, the damage was irreversible. The muscle atrophy had become permanent. Orndorff took the phrase, "pushing your body to its limit," to another level, as he was in the WWE at a time when athletes did whatever was necessary to get as physically big as possible. Some athletes went as far as depending on anabolic steroids to give them an edge over other stars. Most people weren't aware of this during Orndorff's time, but the entire world was shocked by the scandal that exposed this anabolic steroid use. The WWE stood as the wrestling promotion with the highest number of steroid users, as it was seen as the most competitive. As the world of professional wrestling experienced a huge surge in popularity, most athletes realized that the audience was captivated by performers who had superhuman musculature and strength. They also realized that this appearance and strength highly affected their value as performers and also determined their success. This feat was difficult to attain naturally, thus making most of them fall for the temptation of taking the quick road to success. This unhealthy scandal continued for years until it began to crumble in the early 90s, when a physician affiliated with the WWE was arrested and convicted of illegally distributing steroids to wrestlers. This trial brought to light the WWE's influence on steroid use among its performers. Several high-profile talents in the promotion were exposed, and some people began noticing just how naturally unattainable their appearance was. In 1994, the WWE chairman Vince McMahon was indicted on charges of distributing steroids to his star performers. Persecutors also noted that Vince was directly or indirectly pressuring wrestlers into using these substances to further enhance their physique and make the promotion more appealing compared to its competition. A trial commenced a year after Vince's indictment, and it saw several superstars testifying. Hulk Hogan, one of the most notable superstars at the time, openly admitted to the use of anabolic steroids, but denied any coercion from the promotion. Some other superstars said otherwise, including Kevin Nails Wachholtz, who claimed that he was encouraged to use steroids by the promotion's boss. His claims were undermined by the fact that he and Vince had personal grievances against each other. Some wrestlers would even go as far as talking about just how terrible Vince was and how he covered up the casualties of the outrageous scandal. Here's what former professional wrestler New Jack had to say about the WWE boss in an interview.
It was like every time something would happen with one of his wrestlers, he would brush it over like it didn't happen, you know what I mean? And time would go by, and he's like, okay, we'll let that go away, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Luckily for the WWE boss, he was acquitted of all charges due to a lack of evidence and questionable witness credibility. The WWE quickly implemented a drug testing policy aimed at putting an end to steroid use among its athletes. The policy worked against all forms of performance-enhancing drugs and tried to pass a message to fans that the promotion valued athletes' safety and well-being over making a profit. Unfortunately, this scandal happened later than it should, as Orndorff had already suffered the bitter end of pushing himself beyond his limit. He had left the promotion emotion at the time of the lawsuit. Some people believe he was one of the worst victims of the entire scandal, but no one knows if he was coerced into pushing himself or if he made the decision all on his own. Orndorff's health continued to deteriorate through the years, even after he retired from being a professional wrestler. In 2011, Orndorff was diagnosed with throat cancer, a news that devastated fans and family members. However, he reminded the world why he is called Mr. Wonderful, and later announced that he had beat the disease. This made fans remember just how resilient he was as a professional wrestler and also as a football player. His health issues didn't seem to let up as he began experiencing symptoms of dementia. Orndorff's son, Travis, shared updates regarding his father's declining health and announced his struggle with the devastating dementia. Sadly, the former superstar couldn't overcome the ailment and eventually succumbed to it. He passed away in 2021 at the age of 71, and Trevor was the one who announced the tragic news. It is with great sadness that I announce the passing of my father, Paul Parlett Orndorff Jr., he wrote. He is better known as Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Most of you will remember him for his physique. Many will remember his intensity. But if I could only get you to understand and see his heart, he added as he poured out his heart on an Instagram post. He concluded the post by speaking on how amazing his father was. He was an amazing father that showed me more love than I ever deserved. I love you, Daddy. Hulk Hogan would speak on the death of his old friend and former partner. He sent his love in a tweet as he said, "Just got slammed with the Paul Orndorff news. R.I.P. my brother. Love you and thank you for always making me fight for everything in our matches. Heaven just got even more wonderful. Love you for life, H." Several other superstars sent their love and wishes to Orndorff's family, including Eric Bischoff, who also dropped a tweet while sending his well wishes. Although the cause of death was not immediately given, his wife Rhonda would eventually confirm that dementia was the cause of death. Though he is a true wrestling legend, Orndorff wasn't always known for being a superstar in the ring. He had a life and path that didn't initially seem destined for wrestling. Before the ring. Before he became known as Mr. Wonderful in the wrestling world, Paul Parlett Orndorff had an ambition to become a professional footballer. He dreamt of making it to the big leagues. Born on October 28, 1949, Orndorff surprised his peers as he displayed exceptional athletic abilities from a young age. He was blessed with speed, strength, and agility, which were the features every aspiring athlete wished for, as it almost guaranteed success in whatever field they applied in. His athletics also bagged him a scholarship at the University of Tampa, where he played college football. He served as a fullback for his first 3 seasons before he was moved to tight end mid-season in his senior year. Orndorff wasted no time impressing those around him as he scored 21 career touchdowns and quickly gained over 2,000 all-purpose yards with the Tampa Spartans. This made people consider him one of the most prominent players in his class. A bright professional football career seemed almost inevitable for the upcoming star, and he was selected in the 12th round of the 1973 NFL Draft by the New Orleans Saints. To everyone's surprise, he voluntarily quit the team during training camp and said he had personal problems to handle. The upcoming star surprisingly attended the Chicago Bears training camp in 1974 and later joined the Jacksonville Express of the World Football League in 1975. His career seemed to be back on track, but tragedy struck and Orndorff was injured, forcing him to consider another passion of his, which was professional wrestling. After his football career ended, Orndorff watched championship wrestling from Florida and soon realized he would be an excellent wrestler. This realization was probably the greatest thing that happened in his life, and he decided to make his move into the world of professional wrestling. Having nothing left to lose, he called his father-in-law, who knew a guy who knew Florida promoter Eddie Graham. This got him into the wrestling business, which was blessed by his presence. He began training under Bob Backlund and Hiro Matsuda, 2 seasoned veterans who took time and effort to shape Orndorff's talent and help him become a spectacular in-ring performer. His professional wrestling debut came in 1976 in Mid-Southern Wrestling. It didn't take long for him to rise to the top in the promotion, and he began his journey to the top in various other promotions, including the Southeastern, Championship Wrestling, and George Championship Wrestling. He quickly became a fan favorite in these promotions as he appropriately displayed his explosive power and technical ability. Though he was already known by a few, his status as a wrestling icon was cemented when he arrived at the World Wrestling Federation (WWF), now the WWE. He took on the incredible Rowdy Roddy Piper as his manager, and Piper nicknamed him Mr. Wonderful, a name which is synonymous with greatness in the promotion. It didn't take long for Orndorff to go toe-to-toe with some of the greatest names in wrestling history. He became one of the first challengers for the world title, appearing in the main event less than a month after his WWE debut. Though he briefly stepped away from the spotlight, he quickly found himself back in the main event picture when Hulk Hogan entered a feud with Roddy Piper, cementing Orndorff's status as a main eventer. The fallout from a WWE event called the War to Settle the Score played a significant role in the creation of WrestleMania, an event that would become one of WWE's greatest achievements. Orndorff had a crucial role in the first ever WrestleMania main event, where he, Piper, and Bob Orton, acting as their manager, battled against Hogan and Mr. T, who were backed by Sunk. The match was a spectacle, with both teams giving it their all, but no one expected the shocking turn of events when Orton's attempt to interfere backfired. His cast struck Orndorff by accident, giving Hogan the chance to capitalize and secure the victory for his team. Unfortunately for Orndorff, his teammates blamed him for the loss. This led to a brutal attack on him during Saturday night's main event. However, the storyline progression soon took Orndorff to some of his greatest moments in WWE. Later that night, Orndorff got his revenge. He rushed into the ring to side with Hogan when his former teammates tried to double-team him, further cementing his status as a top performer. He then dramatically fired his manager, Bobby Heenan, solidifying his independence. It didn't take long for Orndorff to make new enemies after his partnership with Hogan. Adrian Adonis took every possible chance to make fun of their partnership, and went as far as referring to him as Hulk Jr. He continued provoking Hogan's partner and undoubtedly planted seeds of resentment against Hogan. On a televised phone call to Hogan, Hogan didn't take Orndorff's calls as he was too busy training. The footage then shows Mr. Wonderful getting even angrier because Hogan refused to take his call. Orndorff's portrayal of hatred was impressive and unmatched at the time. His next performance involved him being unable to work with Hogan, and he portrayed it perfectly. In a bout against John Studd and Bundy, Orndorff was knocked off, and Hogan was left to battle his opponents on How Own. To everyone's surprise, Mr. Wonderful returned to the ring to assist Hogan, but shocked everyone as he landed a clothesline on his partner. The storyline took a sharp turn as Orndorff's partnership with Hogan ended. This came via a brutal pile driver which he landed on Hogan. This singular feat skyrocketed him to the pinnacle of his career and created one of the greatest storylines the WWE had ever seen. They had a series of matches with no definite outcome and decided to find out who the better wrestler was on one of the greatest and most dangerous stages. The peak of this storyline came as their final bout was set to be held in a steel cage on Saturday night's Main Event 9. Their bout shook the world as both men did everything they could to emerge victorious. Unfortunately, Hogan claimed the victory and ended their feud that lasted over 6 months. The bout remains one of the most notable ones ever performed by WWE superstars. Orndorff's presence in the ring drastically reduced as he wasn't involved in any major storylines. His last major appearance in the WWE came in 1987 when he teamed with Hogan and some other superstars. He didn't last long in the bout as he was eliminated by Rick Rude. His last match as a WWE superstar came on a house show in January 1988. 2 years after departing from the WWE, Orndorff made his way to the World Championship Wrestling promotion and had his first bout on June 9th. He faced off against the then WCW TV champion on numerous occasions and defeated him several times. He wasn't crowned the new TV champion because their fights were non-title matchups. This showed that Mr. Wonderful was worthy of becoming a champion, but it wasn't destined to happen then. He left the promotion in the fall of that year and found himself in various other promotions for the next 3 years. Orndorff would, however, return to the WCW in 1992. This time, he wasn't holding back and set his eyes on the vacant WCW World Television Championship. Upon returning to the promotion, he had a brief feud with Cactus Jack before signing up for a 16-man tournament for the championship. Mr. Wonderful proved his worth in the promotion by beating every opponent that came his way and taking down Eric Watts in the finals to claim the championship. He served as one of the greatest champions to grace the promotion as he defended the title on several occasions. He also did everything possible not to lose it to anyone and even had some controversial victories. Controversies or not, he remained the champion and no one could say otherwise. On August 18, 1993, Orndorff's winning streak came to an end as he was defeated by Ricky Steamboat at Clash of the Champions Number 204. He unsuccessfully challenged the new champion several times and eventually set his sights on a new prize, the tag team division. Orndorff had a series of tag team partners but found his best match to be Paul Roma. They named their team Pretty Wonderful and worked well in a feud against Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio. They didn't take long to challenge the then WCW World Tag Team Champions, Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan, for the gold. After viciously attacking their soon-to-be opponents during one of their title defenses, Pretty Wonderful officially faced them off and easily defeated them, winning the championship and further increasing Orndorff's list of achievements. His incredible career inspires several aspiring wrestlers worldwide, especially when they look at some of his greatest feats. Some people refused to believe that a man like Orndorff could pull some of these off. Orndorff was best known as a main eventer, and even went as far as starring in the main event of two of the greatest nights in WWE history. His performance in one of those nights, WrestleMania 1, practically made it what it is today, and has allowed fans enjoy it even decades later. He remained a championship title contender for a majority of his career, and most of his performances displayed just how deserving he was of a title. He finally got this title in a different promotion, and finally proved that he truly was a wrestling champion. After leaving WWE, he joined WCW, where he played a crucial role in its growth. As a mentor at the WCW Power Plant training facility, Orndorff dedicated himself to shaping the next generation of wrestlers, proving his passion extended beyond the ring. It didn't come as a surprise when Orndorff was announced as one of the inductees for the class of 2005 into the WWE Hall of Fame. His induction came on April 2nd at the Universal Amphitheater. 4 years later, he was elected to the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame by a committee of his peers. This reminded people of his legacy as one of the greatest wrestlers to grace the early days of the WWE. At the ripe age of 67, Mr. Wonderful graced the ring with his presence. He fought in a six-man tag team at a Canadian Wrestling's Elite (CWE) show, which he unsurprisingly won. This would be the last time the wrestling world would be blessed by his presence and skill in the ring. Orndorff's in-ring achievements and Hall of Fame induction cemented his place as a wrestling legend. But behind the glory and standing ovations lay a harsher reality, one not just limited to him, but to many performers who gave their bodies to the industry. Long before his passing, troubling revelations began surfacing, exposing the dangers wrestlers like Orndorff silently endured beneath the ring. Before Orndorff's death, the world was hit with news that the WWE was hit with a class action lawsuit. 3 former WWE wrestlers decided to take their former employers to court as they were tired of suffering in silence. The general public wondered what their reason was, but was shocked to realize that the WWE might be completely at fault, and the lawsuit seemed like one that could get ugly. The former wrestlers claimed that the WWE had been recklessly endangering its performers for decades and intentionally subjected them to what can only be called a brutal atmosphere. They were forced to put their body through various dangerous stunts that exposed them to devastating cases of dementia, Alzheimer's, and other long-term neurological disorders. They also claimed that WWE was aware of these potential outcomes but buried the medical research that could help prevent it. The lawsuit, filed by Russ McCullough, Ryan Sakota, and Matt Weiss, didn't seek personal justice for these 3, but justice for past and present WWE stars who may have suffered similar mistreatment and long-term injuries from dedicating their bodies to their work. The WWE lost one of its most loved stars to this same issue in 2005. Eddie Guerrero passed out in the middle of the ring, and after being rushed to the hospital, was discovered to have had acute heart failure caused by underlying cardiovascular disease. Most people wonder what happened to him, but it was soon revealed that his history of anabolic steroid use contributed significantly to his heart disease. What was even more tragic was how the media barely spoke about what led to his underlying cardiovascular disease. Some hinted that the boss himself had suppressed it from media coverage to prevent the promotion from facing any backlash. Another WWE performer who was unfortunately affected by this is James Bryan Hellwig, popularly known by his stage name as the Ultimate Warrior. Hellwig was known for his freakish musculature, as he was also a bodybuilder. His appearance perfectly matched his name, as he looked like an apex warrior. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2014 at the age of 54. His cause of death was determined to be a heart attack caused by atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, a condition caused by the hardening and narrowing of arteries. This is a similar, if not the exact same condition that cost Guerrero his life. Hellwig was one of the few performers to admit to heavily using steroids, and also spoke on how several performers in the franchise were involved. Sadly, the list doesn't end there, as there's yet another casualty in this madness, as ravishing Rick Rude also passed away due to heart failure at the age of 40. An autopsy revealed that his death was from an overdose of mixed medications, one of these medications being anabolic steroids. Rude was one of the fighters who admitted to using anabolic steroids to enhance his build and also manage the pain that came from being a performer. Another factor that made the mentioned lawsuit detrimental to the billion-dollar company was timing. It came around the same period when WWE's infamous CM Punk was in a highly publicized battle with WWE's head doctor. He also filed a lawsuit against the doctor, claiming that the WWE coerces its wrestlers to work while they are injured by, among other methods, threatening to strip them of their position within the organization cancellation if they refuse. As though they didn't have enough evidence against the WWE, this lawsuit could bring up painful memories of the Chris Benoit tragedy. Chris Benoit was a former WWE superstar and a one-time world champion. Sadly, no one remembers him for his in-ring performance, but he is remembered as the former superstar who murdered his wife and son. This happened in 2007, and he took his life shortly after performing this heinous act. The aftermath of this was more shocking than the murder itself. An autopsy revealed that Benoit had severe chronic traumatic encephalopathy and damage to all four lobes of his brain, including his brainstem. The head of neurosurgery at West Virginia University stated that his brain resembled that of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient. Many suspected that dementia brought on by repeated concussions suffered in the ring played a huge role in his behavior and decision to murder his family. The WWE did what they do best and dismissed the idea as merely a speculation. About a year after these three former superstars filed their lawsuit, more than 50 ex-wrestlers banded together and filed a suit against the WWE. In the Connecticut lawsuit, the ex-wrestlers stated that the WWE was responsible for their long-term neurological damage and failed to care for their injuries. The lawsuit also alleged that the company fraudulently misrepresented and concealed the nature and extent of the injuries sustained by its athletes. Legends like Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Joseph Road Warrior Animal Laurinaitis, and the legend Mr. Wonderful were among the plaintiffs. Calling these men legends isn't enough to describe the impact they made in the promotion, as they served as the foundation of the franchise we know and love today. One X, formerly known as Twitter, user posted a list of all the ex-wrestlers involved in the lawsuit. There's almost no doubt that the WWE has a lot they're hiding from the world regarding how it treats its performers and workers. So many people can't come out against you as a mere coincidence or cash grab scheme. All that's lacking in these claims is concrete evidence that would force the promotion to admit to their crimes. Getting such information could be difficult, as it might require active wrestlers to come out and speak against their employers, a move that doesn't seem possible. No one wants to mess with the biggest wrestling organization, because once you're blacklisted, other promotions will stay away, leaving that performer's career in the mud. Unfortunately, the WWE escaped being persecuted by the law yet again, as U.S. District Judge Vanessa Lynn Bryant dismissed the case. She ruled that some of the claims made were frivolous, and some had been filed after the statute of limitation had expired. An appeal was made to the Federal Appeal Court, but the case was dismissed in September 2020. It's sad to say that Orndorff passed away without seeing justice served against the promotion. If you enjoyed the video, don't go anywhere. Just click on any of the cards appearing on your screen right now and get even more exciting content. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.